Welcome to the Beyond the Script podcast. I'm your host, Kerri, and today I am just struggling being nice to people. Please tell me I'm not the only one that has days like this. Um, where it's just like everything and everybody is getting on your nerves. I'm having to do a lot of changing my mindset and being accountable for myself, not letting my emotions run away with me. All that sort of thing today I'm having to do a lot of, which brings me to a topic that I have been wanting to discuss with y'all since before I started this podcast. Like, this is one of the things that I knew I wanted to discuss on here. And I'm just going to say, the whole big like cancel culture thing that was going on for quite a while. I'm just going to say this would probably get me canceled. Okay, like this unpopular opinion here. But I want to talk a little bit about relationships, specifically in marriage, but honestly, I think it applies in other relationships as well. So I see so much on social media about these girls that they're just like, oh, my man knows that I'm a strong, independent woman, but when he comes home, he's going to be pumping the gas for me. He's going to be filling my water bottle for me. He's going to, all this stuff, whatever. Do I think it's wrong for men to do things for their wives and spoil their wives? No. Do I think that women in today's society have turned into a bunch of spoiled brats? Yes, I do. Um, Now, I was raised much differently than most people. I was raised by a homemaker. I was homeschooled. My dad was self-employed, so we kind of had our little tight thing there, but I was raised to be the biblical wife that took care of my husband. Am I outside the home bringing in an income? No. But do I make sure that he has clean clothes, that the house is cleaned, that he has food to eat, that like I try to not even make him wait on supper when he comes home from work. And do I expect him to come home and do everything to take care of me? No, not at all. First of all, I'm an independent girl that, yes, I love a little bit of pampering, but also that to me becomes smothering after a little while. So this whole, oh, I won't even pump my gas. I, you know, won't even get up and fill my own water bottle thing. Grow up. I'm sorry. Like, just grow up a little bit. And I mean that in the most loving way possible. I don't mean that mean, but you are not a child. You are not a child. You are capable of handling those things. And to expect him to come home after a long day of work and do all of these things for you, that is selfish behavior, honestly. Now, I understand that most women in today's society also work a full-time job. Do I think that it is wrong for a woman who is bringing in, half the income to expect her husband to pitch in around the house? No, I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think that's a wrong thing. But I don't know. I just see it so much in today's society, and it really, really bothers me. It breaks my heart to see this. Um, because for me, we as women were meant to nurture. We're the ones that are supposed to be taking care of them. Like, yes, they take care of us, but it's in a different it's in a different way. I don't know how to fully describe it. Also, I apologize if you're hearing noise in the background. My dog's walking around in here. I got you. Come on. Come on. There we go. There she is. Hey, baby. There she is. Hey, baby. Hey, hi. A few months ago, someone asked me, hi, Like, what do you think? Like, what are your thoughts on being married? Like, is it everything you thought it would be, whatever? And I'm like, yeah, honestly, it is. Like, there's days that I don't feel like I could live without him. There's days that, I'm thinking, what the heck was I thinking? There's days that, that he's everything to me. There's other days that I can't stand it. Like, you put two human beings together, and that's like, I don't care if you're married or like it's just a friend or whatever, like, you are always gonna have those moments. So to depict marriage as supposed to be just this flawless thing, or you're getting divorced, like there's no middle ground. Our society is so freaking twisted. Like, I'm sorry, but life is not easy. Life is not easy. Marriage is not easy. Like, yes, with the right person, it's easier than not, but you still have two separate people coming from two separate backgrounds, and they're gonna be different. They're gonna clash at times. They're gonna disagree, and then there's gonna be times that everything is good. So like that to me does not say you're in a bad relationship just because things are different. Um, but a few months ago, because pretty much since we said I do, like, honestly, like, it literally started. We didn't even get to go on our honeymoon because I was running a fever. Like, it literally started immediately after we got married. We have been dealing with one thing after another, and it's just life. It's nobody's fault. It's just life. Appliances break, vehicles break, just all the different things that we've been having to deal with. And it has been one thing after another. Like, it has not stopped, and it has put a lot of financial strain on us, a lot of physical and emotional stress on us. It has been a lot. So my husband is stressed out. And, obviously that makes it a challenge for me because I joke around and say that we're a perfect match because he finds every cloud to my silver lining. Like, we're polar opposites in that way. But there's times that dealing with someone that is the polar opposite of you in certain areas, it gets to be frustrating because you're like, why can't they just see this or that? And I started, like, when I like to check myself with people sometimes and be like, okay, am I thinking correctly here? Am I not thinking correctly here? And I started getting told things like, don't lose yourself in this. Don't, this, or this. Like, you're not asking too much, this, and this. And I'm just like, whoa, like, everything was against him. So I started reading the book, The Power of the Praying Wife. And admittedly, I caught myself one day thinking, as I was reading this, thinking, yeah, that's what he should be doing. This is right. This is what he should be doing. And then I went, whoa, back up. If I'm listening to this, trying to figure out what he should be doing, then I'm not being accountable for me. And that's an issue. That is the issue. Never assume you are not an issue. I will say that straight up. I now never assume that I'm not the issue, because sometimes it's my mindset that needs to change, not his. And I do not mean this to say that my husband is a perfect person who never makes mistakes. We all make mistakes. I don't mean that in that way. But something I have really been learning over the last several months is to focus on myself and to take accountability for my own actions, and to not blame my actions on other people. Like, um, I started noticing myself getting really frustrated one day and really lashing out. And God just spoke to me, and he's like, that person's actions that made you mad does not excuse your reaction. So, whether or not the person that you're dealing with, whether it's your spouse or anybody else, whether or not their actions are correct, does not excuse your response to it. I am only in control of me. I am not in control of my husband, of my daughter, of my dad, of my friends, like anybody. I am not in control of anybody. So I recently was like, okay, God, like just thinking back over everything that I've been through throughout my life. And I'm like, okay, everything is for a season. There's always a reason for every season. And just, looking back, I was like, okay, God, when there is something that keeps happening here, that tells me there's something that you're wanting me to learn within this time. There's a lesson for me here. And I've been through this enough to know that just like any good teacher, if you don't get it the first time, he's going to send you back through until you learn it. Like God doesn't give up on us. So I'm like, okay, God, what do you need me to learn here? Like, I was really frustrated with my husband at the time, and I'm just like, okay, you know, if my husband is my frustration right now, that doesn't make him my enemy. That means he is my test to learn something. So I'm like, okay, got it. All right, God, I'm on board here. What do you have for me to learn? And let's do it. Like, my biggest step was acknowledging that it wasn't just a hard time, that it wasn't, my husband was not my enemy, that God was trying to teach me a lesson. So to acknowledge that was huge for me. And I don't know if y'all have ever watched the movie Fireproof with Kirk Cameron, but it is an amazing movie. But there's a book that came about with that movie, and it's called The Love Dare. And a lot of people will do that when their marriage is in a bad place. Mine is not in a bad place, but I am I am my mother's daughter and I'm all about preventative maintenance. So I'm like, okay, rather than do this when my marriage is in a bad place, I want to do it now and prevent it from getting to a bad place. Like if there's something that I'm doing wrong, I want to fix it now rather than allowing it to continue and cause issues. So I started doing that Love Dare book, and it was a really good combination for me because there were many of the dares that I'm like, well, I already did this. There was one particular dare that I'm like, actually, from everything he's told me, doing the opposite of this dare is actually what would mean something to him, not what they're telling me to do. So I tailored it to my specific husband because we're not cookie cutters. Despite what our society tries to teach us, we are all individually made. No two of us are exactly alike. So, I had to tailor it for my own thing, and that's okay. But so it was a really good combination to me of seeing areas that I was already doing what was right, and then seeing areas that I really needed to grow. Now, I will say this book challenged me in so many ways because I had to unlearn so many things. I had to look at everything that our society teaches us, everything that you see on social media, all of the advice that even church people will give you, and realize it is not sound biblical advice. So, one of the things that our society teaches us is pretty much it's not until death do us part, it's until you stop making me happy, it's until I stop getting my way. It's not through sickness and in health, for richer, for poorer, for better, for worse. It's until I don't feel like I can take anymore. And to read this book and just be reminded that, like I said earlier, everything is for a season. And to go through it and to realize that my job is to keep doing what I'm supposed to be doing, whether or not he's doing what he's supposed to be doing or what I want him to be doing. My job is still to take care of him and to still be his helpmate, to still support him, to still show him the unconditional love that God shows me. That is definitely not the way we're taught to love these days. So, some of the biggest things we are taught in our society to look out for ourselves, that, nobody else is going to make you happy. So, you do you, you do what makes you happy. You make sure you're taken care of because nobody else is going to do it. Well, what God teaches us is to put others' needs above our own. So when I started saying, you know what, I'm going to set my needs aside and I'm going to put him first, I started seeing little things, little changes in him of responding to my difference. Of instead of me lashing out because I'm angry that he's not seeing something or that he's not, paying me the attention that I want or whatever. But when I set my needs aside and said, just was there to listen, he started pouring his heart out more. And he started sending me songs again on a random day or whatever. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, he needs to feel safe because as much as I carry my own, insecurities or traumas or whatever from my past, he has his from his past. And I'm still learning some of them. And is it quote unquote fair to me to have to be, tiptoeing around certain things because his ex did this or his ex did that? No, but who said life was fair? Also, I took him knowing those things. So that's my decision. So who's actually like if we're playing the blame game, who would actually be to blame here? Me. Because I accepted him knowing those things. And if I now try to put that as a fault on him, that's my problem, not his. So just, wow. Learning so much about taking accountability for my actions and putting him first. Am I perfect at it? No. We were having a discussion this morning and, I was expressing a way that he was making me feel. And, he was just standing by what he was saying. And I was frustrated because I'm like, that's not it. That's not what I'm doing at all, whatever. And then I had to realize just because I don't see it that way doesn't mean that's not how it's coming across to him. No different than when, ladies, we all do it. Don't you dare try to act like you don't. If you say you do not do this, you are a liar. I will say this straight up. You are a liar if you say you don't do this. That when a man says something, that's not what we hear. We read deeper into what they say than what they say. Women are built differently than men. These are a few things that I've learned. I'm just going to put these out here. So, my husband works in the medical field and he is experiencing extreme burnout right now. Like he is extremely worn out. He's stressed. He has nothing to give right now, but I'm still a wife that needs attention and needs affirmation and needs love and needs to feel wanted and, whatever. He has nothing to give right now. Well, I start taking that personally eventually and being like, there's only so many times you can tell me it's not you, it's me before I start not believing you. Like as a woman, that's just how our brains work. And I'm learning, y'all. Emphasis on the ing. I am learning. I have not learned, I am learning that how men and women think is completely different. So, to a woman, we think multitasked. So, to us, when, yes, we can be busy all day long with a job or housework or, whatever we're needing to do. And then they come home. And to us, we can, pull that one pot this we've had simmering on the front of the stove all day. We can push that to the back of the stove and say, okay, well, now's not the time for that, and pull that other pot forward and think about that now. Like that's not a big deal to us. Men think in compartments. So when that compartment is full, I'm learning this and even talking to some guys and like figuring out that I'm not wrong in my theory here. But men think in compartments. So when that compartment is full, it's not that they don't care. It's that they legit have zero room for anything else in that compartment. So when I'm feeling lonely or whatever, I'm having to realize it's not that my husband doesn't love me. It's that his mind is so full of everything else that he has to get done that there is no room for, oh, just sit here and cuddle me and, you know, this and this and that. Like, that is the least of what's on his mind right now. And that's nothing to do with me personally. That's just how his brain works. And that goes back to I see so many women, that get angry about their husbands. Okay, have y'all ever watched the It's a Southern Thing videos? And there's this particular one where she orders husband vision goggles, and when she puts them on, all of a sudden the overflowing trash that she was just griping about him not taking off is not overflowing. And like the mess that the shoes laying in the middle of the floor, the this and this and this is suddenly gone, and that's because men do not think how women think. It's not that they don't care, it's that legit that is not what's on their radar. Men do not multitask. And if that is not what is on his radar, he's not going to see it. And it's not a lack of care, it's just how his brain is wired, just as our brains are wired to notice all the things. But yeah, ladies, we've got to stop blaming men for how they are designed. And something I was legit talking to my husband about this morning. I was like, I would love for us to work on not allowing our differences in these areas to drive us apart, like to not drive a wedge in our communication, but to actually realize that we were designed differently so we would fit together and support each other with our strengths and our weaknesses. We are pieces of a puzzle that are put together just like, this is a terrible analogy, but just like male and female fittings in plumbing or anything else, they are different, but they're different so they can fit together, so they can work together in unity. Unfortunately, our society has taught us to just, you know, look out for yourself, nobody else is going to take care of you. You have to do it yourself. All these things. We have been taught such an independent mindset that we have not been taught how to love properly. We have not been taught how to have healthy relationships. And it makes me so sad because, like, as a woman, I'm disappointed in the female race for a lot of these reasons. Do I think that men are perfect little angels who never get anything wrong and whatever? No. Do I believe that there are women out there who are completely justified in certain things? Yes. Like I'm not trying to make women out to be the villain and men out to be the victims here. I'm not trying to do that. All I'm trying to do is remind you, as I've been reminded. I'm talking to the choir here. Like I am not telling y'all to do anything I have not been doing myself over the last several months. Take a good long look in the mirror and say, what can I be doing better? Not what do they need to be doing better? What can I be doing better? How do I need to change? How does my attitude need to change? How do my words need to change? How can I put them first? And speaking for myself, as I have started doing some of those things, do I have a long way to go? I'm sure. And as I said, something, in the conversation with my husband this morning, like something that to me is not a big deal, that I'm actually trying to do this and he sees it this way. Different perspective. Just as when he says certain things, I hear something totally different. So learning to not fly off the handle and learning to process things how the other person processes. If you are not familiar with the different love languages, I encourage you to look at that. Because learning to love someone with their love language is key. Because to me, the things that I do for my husband, I grew up doing these things. So to me, they're no big deal. These are like the absolute most basic things I could ever do for him. To him, it means the world. And I'm just like, okay, your ex is like really set the bar low here, bro. Like, like, but I asked him one day, I'm like, what that I do tells you that I love you? And he's like, literally everything. He's like, I come home and I don't have to cook. The laundry's done. Like, you have it all taken care of. And he's like, I can just come home. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So like I'm doing my housework. Like, so what do you need me to do to tell you that I love you? And he's like, no, but to me, that's not enough. So, but that's me. That's not him. So, learning your partner's love language is key. Learning to put them first is key. Um, but also just developing that relationship with God is the most important thing. And I realize all of this is probably coming out way more jumbled and rambled than I ever intended it to. But this is something that has been on my heart so much. And it's so sad to me that even within the church, we are not being given the right kind of advice. And I just want to encourage you to, like, ladies, I encourage you to do, well, ladies and men, I encourage you to do the Love Dare. I encourage you, ladies, to read The Power of the Praying Wife. But most of all, I encourage you to get in your Bible. Because again, these things that I've been talking about, specifically, I've been talking about marriage, but truthfully, they apply in every area of our lives, not just with our spouses. They apply in every area of our lives. And, learning things like, our society has taught us to, cling to our birth families. My husband is my family now. Not, I'm not like disowning my birth family, but, between the two, I choose my husband because he is now my family. And, so there are just so many things that our culture, that our churches, like so many things that are so backwards, but they've become the norm. And it is really, really sad to me. And as I said, I know this is unpopular opinion. Um, but it's something that, considering the state of the marriages these days, considering the state our world is in, maybe the unpopular opinion isn't a bad one. I have been wanting to share this with y'all and, speak these things and speak against the wrong. I've been wanting to, share these things that I have learned. But I hope y'all have enjoyed this. Again, I encourage you to look into those resources for yourself, even if you quote unquote have a good marriage and, no problems and all these things, because there's always room for improvement. I love the quote from Little House on the Prairie when Ma tells Laura, we start learning when we're born. And if we're wise, we don't stop until the Lord calls us home. So there's always room for improvement. To think that, you could never learn anything better, or, to think that you could never make anything better this side of heaven is arrogance and is pride. And, just keeping an open mind and an open heart to allow God to work in you and through you to minister to other people, and also to remember, yes, that person may be driving you nuts, but to give them the grace that you would want if you were going through the things that they're dealing with right now. I know for me personally, I went through 2 years of roller coaster depression, and my friend Sarah stood by me the entire time. Like, never once got tired, acted like she was tired of me texting her and ranting. She was always there to listen to me and stuff. And I'm like, I wish I could think I could be that good of a friend. So to know that, regardless of what a pain I was during that time, during 2 solid years of that, why can't I extend that grace to someone else just because I'm feeling neglected? Well, what about what they're feeling? So, just remember, it's not always about you. It's not always about me. But yeah, that is my little heart to heart for the day. I will see y'all again soon, and thanks for listening. Bye, guys. Love you.